agree, and I can definitely speak on, when I went through periods where I needed help with my mental health, I was a little bit older, so I had a little bit more agency. But a bit of advice that I would give to some youth is, don't worry and concern yourself with how other people will feel about your healing. Because your healing is for yourself. And so some people, they get healing by coming to church and hearing the word of God, and that's great. Some people get healing because they go and talk to a therapist. Some people do both. Some people get healing because they take walks and they go hiking, or, they pick up a hobby. When you figure out, hey, I'm going through something is affecting me, and you are able to figure out, they're able to figure out, this helps me relieve my stress. This lowers my anxiety. Don't be afraid. I'm not telling you to be disrespectful. Because don't get popped on behalf of me. Okay? But don't get jacked up because Jasmine told you to.
Well, Jasmine said,
no, I didn't say that. You can still be respectful, but I think, don't they at school have counselors that you can talk to? And I don't know how deep in your conversation you can go with those school counselors, but I think, to the youth, if you're talking to a counselor and you're not getting enough, right, the counselor's surface level, and you need to go a little bit deeper, tell them, hey, is there somebody else I can talk to? Because once you open up your mouth and let somebody know I need more resources, now if you have a parent, because some youth are going to have this, some youth are going to have a parent who does not understand or agree with therapy or talking to a counselor, but that teen still needs that help. So there are resources for you at school. Go and talk to a counselor. You don't have to tell your friends where you went. You were in the bathroom. You were talking to Coach so-and-so. It's none of their business. Go take care of yourself and get your healing that you need.
What I'd like to add to that is that this year in Henry County, where I work, they added a mental health professional to every school, every grade level. And even at the high school, this incredible person is busy every day. Helping our kids navigate being back in the building. And I think it helps that he's younger and he's all so full of energy. And at first, it took a couple of weeks before the kids were like, I don't need to talk to him. Why? And now it's like they've already gravitated to being able to go to him and share their concerns and have someone to talk to. And, and he helps to offer them, guidance. And if they need to go a step further with anything, he's their support. So having someone that's not a parent or not a teacher or not a counselor, because unfortunately, let's just be honest, some of our school counselors are bogged down with paperwork. They don't have the time that they did in the past when we were in school to actually counsel. Right. So it was even more important that we get someone who was, not affiliated with testing and this or that. And his entire purpose is to be there for the kids. And now the kids gravitate towards him, and it's worked out quite beautifully in our building. And the kids are very happy to have that somebody that they could talk to.
I just wanted to go back to the self-care. Another self-care tip that I can give to teens, like you said, I don't want to be disrespectful to parents, but setting boundaries and the power of no. As a young adult, I'm still learning both of those. Where if I need time, like you said, Bree, if you need time or I can't make it to this, just saying no. Right. I know we often will let the weight of the world kind of fall on our shoulders and we feel like we're disappointing somebody, but that reset just needs to happen sometimes, and saying, you know what, I can't make it to this one, but I'll make it up to you. I think we've even discussed sometimes our own boundaries that we have to create, but setting boundaries is another self-care tip, because you have to put yourself first.
And no is a complete statement. You don't have to follow up with an explanation. Just no. Say it politely. No. Because when you start getting into the explanation and things could go left very quickly, but you really can, and it's okay to stop at no. And one of the things that I would really like to share with young people is it is absolutely okay to be yourself. Yep. Be yourself. You don't have to exist for other people. And often they're trying to tie their identity and who they think they should be to all these different things, when in actuality, it's okay to be yourself. My daughter's a freshman at Savannah State, and In my head, I'm like, oh, she's going to be out, she's going to be partying, she's going to be having fun and doing this. That child is in her room, generally doing work, and she's okay with that because that's what she likes. That's what she enjoys doing.
That's who
She doesn't like loud noises, so she's not going to go to like a loud party or go to a loud football game because that's just not her thing. And her friends have had to learn that she has boundaries. I'm okay if I don't want to go to the party with you. I'll catch up with you later. But her no means no. And I've learned that from her. And it's okay. So I'm learning as an adult. No. No.
Look at you.
Nope. And walk away. That's all you need. And you're protecting yourself. And it's okay to say no.
Right.
People who care will understand.
And the more you set those boundaries, the more comfortable you will get saying it. Right. It can be hard at first, but once you get over that first, no, not today.
Throwing nose out everywhere.
It gets easier, but it's a struggle at first, but it's worth it. Yeah. It's worth it for your mental health. It's worth it for your sanity. It's worth it for you.
Yeah.
So.
And again, I just want to put that caveat out there. Watch how you say your no to your parents. Don't say, no, I'm not. Don't do that because you might get backhanded.
No neck rolling.
No, none of that.
No finger pointing.
Just a simple mom. I don't think that's a good idea for me. My daughter's done that.
I
with
love
me.
that.
Yeah.
And it's never come off disrespectfully. Mom, that's not really something I'm interested in. But, she frames it properly. So the delivery does matter, of course, because, but for her, she's always been able to just tell me what's on her heart. And it's, Mom, I don't feel comfortable doing that. Or, Mom, that's not really for me. You want piano lessons? I got you a piano teacher. 2 weeks later, I don't think this is for me. Okay, we'll try something else.
Right.
Instead of forcing her to do something that she didn't want to do anymore. So, listening to our kids is important. And, kids, be patient with your parents too, because they're learning. They weren't parents before. So they're learning that, how to be a proper parent or how to be a parent to each kid and meet them where they're at, because our kids have different personalities as well.
Absolutely.
So that's ultra important. But that no and those boundaries will help you stay grounded and keep you focused, because then you don't get lost in other people.
Right. And I do kind of want to change direction here. So we've made some mention about apps, social media, right? I know for me, I have plenty of apps on my phone. I have the Facebook Messenger app. I have Instagram. I had Twitter. I've got my email. I have every single app you can think of, right? So it's gotten to the point to even when I wake up in the morning, I've had to tell myself, do not get on Instagram, Jasmine. Don't get on Instagram. Because the first thing I want to do when I reach over to grab my phone is I want to get on Instagram. Because I know somebody has messaged me. Something's on the shade room I want to see.
Okay.
And then they even do y'all know they have a shade room team?
I've seen that. Yes, I've seen
I
that.
came across it one day. I said, hold on, the teens have as
It's like
much
an actual
drama.
page and everything.
It is. I don't know anybody.
And they
on
have
there.
more drama on that page than our page in the adult shade room.
We gotta go to work.
I am guilty.
And so, and knowing how social media affects me and where I'm at in life, how do you guys think social media has affected our youth? And do you think it's affected them at all?
Well, I was going to say, I think it has affected them tremendously. Something else that I was in or I was doing was I was a nanny for multiple families. So just seeing how YouTube and now TikTok is the newest thing, seeing how that kind of just took over a whole entire generation was kind of scary to me because I would literally, you see them, you take away the YouTube, they will go crazy. And I'm like, where's all this anger coming from an app being taken away? But in terms of them, it kind of it's embedded in their lives now. Social media, they identify themselves with social media now. And I don't really think that there's a way around that as a person in information technology. It's just something that it is what it is. But I think it's important that we don't let it take over the generation. Because right now that's what it's doing. And while technology, I think, can be used for good, I feel like right now it's being used for a lot of bad too. But I think the biggest impact that I'm seeing is that how it changes their perspective. Where I feel like, maybe looked at things differently. Now we're looking at the big butts and the plastic surgery, and our little girls are thinking that that's how they have to look. And like she said, our boys are thinking that they have to be hard because they're looking at all the rappers with the money and things like that. And to me, that's just, I've watched how their mind changes. And they're like, well, no. And they're trying to tell you, the adult, well, no, this is how it is. And I'm like, that's not real life. That's not real life.
That right there is teaching the kids that what you see on that phone, on YouTube, that's not really what what's really going on with that rapper or that singer
Not
or
at all.
whatever it is that you think their life is like. It really is not. Don't believe everything you see. And it's difficult because they try to identify so much with what they see or idolize some celebrity. And when the cameras aren't rolling, we know that's not what their life is at all. It's all smoke and mirrors. So trying to teach young people that, Beyonce is a regular person. She got kids. She's taking them to school. Lil Blue has recitals. She's a regular woman. Instead of, she's up here and, some sort of, untouchable being. But just trying to get them to understand that, the thing that connects us the most as humans, that goes across the board. It doesn't matter what you do for a living. They're just some basic things that we're all going to have in common. And just not to buy into just all of the visual that they see, that is not real life. Or when you're only looking at the result of what someone was working on versus knowing and understanding what hard work went into it. So teaching them, I can't even begin to count how many times I've heard a young man say, I'm going to the NBA, but you're not even on the high school team. How is that going to happen? Where are your stats? Because that guy that you see on television put in hours in high school, put in hours in college, and then went on to be professional. How are you going to get there if you're not even bouncing the ball on the court at school? Then it clicks. Like, I'm not working on that dream. Or you want to be a rapper, but you don't write. Where are those lyrics? Are you going to give all your money to the writer? That there's so much more than just the person that you see in the front. There's a lot more going on in the background. So just getting them to understand the reality of things can sometimes help them in terms of figuring things out, because maybe no one ever told them that, okay, if I want to be a rapper, maybe I need to invest in writing my own lyrics and whatever, so that, more of the money is coming back to me and not somebody else. Right. Things like that. Or life on the road isn't easy. They just, a lot of times they don't always know what is really, what it entails to become that person or live whatever their dream is, big or small. So just don't be afraid to ask people for, how does this work? Or you're a lawyer. How did you do that? Right. How do you become a lawyer? How did you become a teacher? Like, ask the questions. We are happy to share.
Okay. So all I wanted to say was social media is intentional. I think it's just a big marketing tool. And to understand that, of course, when you're going on the internet, it's going to make it seem that like everybody's doing it. But there's a thing called an algorithm. And so if I touch a Telfar bag and then next thing you know, it seems like everybody on my newsfeed has a bag. But in actuality, nobody can purchase the bags because Beyonce took them all. So realizing that it's an algorithm. It's meant to draw you in, and it's meant to make you want certain things. Exactly, because even the rappers and the superstars, a lot of that stuff is given to them because they're walking billboards, realizing that they have now taken the billboards from the side of the road and now they're putting it on a person because we know this person is making movies, they're selling songs and everything like that. So why wouldn't I put what I think the youth wants on them? Whether that's clothes, it could be jewelry and everything else. And then the last thing I could just say about social media, I think about myself using social media. It takes me about 20 pictures before I realize, okay, this might be the picture I want to post. So I'm giving you a snapshot of what's going on in my life. I'm not going to tell you that I was probably crying after I took this picture, but you're going to see this snapshot because this is what I want to present to the world. So realizing if it takes you 20 times to post that picture, do you not think Beyonce only posts one picture a month because she's going to make sure she's presenting the best self? So it's just a marketing tool, and it's going to make you seem like everybody's doing it.
So I want to say, yes, social media does have its negative influences, right? But there's just as much negative. There's a lot of positive as well. It's just, especially on Instagram, I found a lot of positive pages to follow. Mental Health Collective, Mental Health Aspect, Black women this. And it's just been a lot of positive pages that I've been following. And usually how I have found them is just one of my friends might post something and on their story, and then I'll go and I'll tap their story and I'm like, oh. And then, right. But I want to say to the youth is that, yes, you can use social media as part as important or pouring into your mental health. There are pages for literally everything. If you want to be a fashion designer, start following fashion designers. If you want to be a rapper, yes, you can follow the rappers, but also look at their pictures and go dig deep. You know what I'm saying? Don't just look at that one picture where they flashing all the money. Right. I know it's enticing. I know you want it, but keep going. A lot of times you can see where they started from a young age. They might be in the garage with their uncle or their father with drums or something. So there's a story there. Just don't stop at what you see. Dig a little deep. Right.
And I was going to say, to her point, whatever goal you're trying to reach, you can use social media to reach that goal as well. I've set myself on a weight loss journey. So what do? I follow a whole bunch of people who ain't doing nothing but working out on their page. So when I wake up in the morning, I'm like, ooh, let me work out because I just saw this man work out or I just saw this woman work out. I like to cook. Right. So I follow a lot of people who cook. So when I wake up, I know the two don't go together, weight loss and cooking.
Yes, they do.
But, you know.
Yes, they do. You have to eat every day.
Balance, guys, balance. But, you know, so like she said, it can be used for positive things as well. I do a lot of inspirational quotes. I like travel, so I follow a lot of Black women travel or places to go that blah, blah, blah. You know, whatever you aspire to do, aspire to be, you can also set your profile up to that's what you're going to see. Because like she said, you click on that bag, now you're seeing everybody with this bag and you're like, everybody got a bag?
Yeah.
If you want to work out, click on somebody who works out every day. And you'll start seeing more people pour in who is like, hey, here's a quick workout you can do in 5 minutes. And I'm like, oh, that's what I need because I ain't got a lot of time today. So, you know, I think like she said, using it for positive things as well because I'm an advocate for technology. And that's one of the things that I want to advocate is the positive sides of technology. I know a lot of people look at it like it's just taking over, but it can take over in a good way. Right. We just have to learn how to navigate that.
It's difficult raising teenagers these days. There are a lot more distractions than perhaps when you were growing up. One of the things that I cherish most about my children is that they can come to my wife and I and talk about anything from A to Z. Maybe that approach can help you raise your teenagers too. We have a vibrant teen ministry at our church. We'd be glad to see you and your family this Sunday in church.
And then speaking about social media, you know, one thing that came to mind was, I call it the spirit of comparison, right? Adults do it, youth do it, middle-aged people, everybody does it. And one thing I think that was maybe different about my high school experience. I'm going to let y'all into my world. I went to a predominantly white high school. We had some black kids, but it was predominantly white. And me and my group of friends, probably about 6 of us, we are still very close to this day. I would not have said that we were the cool black kids in school. Okay, I'm going to just be honest. We were lames. We were straight lames. I don't know if they still use that term, but we were lame kids. We weren't lames like we were weird, but we just were not the cool group of kids. We just were never that. And I think something about me just knew from a very young age, maybe 7th, 8th grade, Jasmine, you're just not the coolest. You're not the coolest one on the block, and that's okay, right? Like, I was really skinny. I was really tall. I was really weird looking. I was never going to be that it girl. I had to accept that kind of early, because if I had gone into high school wanting the main football player to want to look at me, wanting the main basketball player to look at me, wanting to be this and that, I would have been setting myself up for failure. Because the truth was, I was just not that cool chick. I was never going to be her. I was Jasmine Resse. Right?
You learned to be okay with yourself.
I learned to be okay with myself. And I also looked at the cool kids, not that I was jealous or hated or anything, right? It was just, hey, it takes a lot of energy to try to be in this group. Because the way God built me, he didn't intend for Jasmine to be the cool. I'm not going to be prom queen, right? And so I have to be okay with my friend group. Do me and my friends get along? Do we laugh? When we get together, we're rolling, laughing. We're having a good time. And so that is one thing I would say to teens nowadays is be okay with who you are, because the truth is, no matter what clothes you put on, I remember once when the baby fat jackets came out. Y'all remember those? Yeah. Everybody had a pair of apple bottom jeans and those baby fat and the boots
with the fur on jackets.
The Obama, everything. And the bomber jackets. Bomber.
See, for me
Same year.
For me, it was the pastry shoes.
You see, and I'm not even cool. And so
she said, I'm not even cool.
And I begged my parents. I remember this when I was trying to be cool. Y'all, I was trying to be in the in group. And I think those jackets came out when I was in the 8th or 9th grade. And everybody had a jacket. And I begged my parents. I said, please, please, please get me a jacket. So they got me the jacket. They did not get me the apple bottom jeans. My daddy said no. But so I had some, I think they were Levi jeans, the baby fat jacket, and the boots with the fur.
Yes.
I just knew when I went to school that I was going to be cool.
This was it. This was your moment.
I made it. I laid the outfit out like, oh, I'm going to kill her with this one right here. I can't wait. And again, this was at a point in my life where I was still trying to be cool. I was still trying to be accepted by the cool kids in my school. And I get to school, and I think I wore that jacket. Oh, I hate to say this. I think I wore it for like 2 weeks straight. It wasn't even cold enough for me to wear the jacket, y'all. I was just wearing it.
Get your uses in.
Because I was like, y'all gonna see this jacket, and y'all gonna invite me to the lunch table, and it hurt my feelings because they didn't, right? Mm-hmm. And they weren't going to. Again, I was 6 feet tall in the 8th grade. I'm skinny like a beanpole. I was not cool. I was just not it, and they were never gonna invite me to that table. And although that hurt my feelings, it taught me, so I don't want to even waste my time with this, because more than likely this isn't going to happen, right? If you're going to be a cool kid and people are just going to be attracted to you, you're going to be that the day you walk in. And if you're not, guess what? It's okay. It is okay. Everybody can't be the cool kid, because if everybody was a cool kid, there'd be no cool kids.
Right.
And the cool kids actually aren't that cool. So, don't get into that spirit of comparison, because it takes your joy. Yeah. Anybody else want to expand upon that?
Well, I was going to say that I think, speaking to our teens, that if you exude confidence in yourself, people will automatically attract to you. I wouldn't say I was a cool kid, but people knew me, Mm-hmm. I was just kind of that girl floating in the middle. Like, when you got a name like Brianna, everybody got the name. It's like eight in the school. Which Brianna are you talking about? The dancer went, okay, I know her. Like, so, with a name like mine, it's already hard to stand out. But I think one thing about myself is that at a very young age, I learned to just not really care what people were thinking about me. I had so much going on as a child that I didn't have time to worry about he say, she say, who like who. I didn't have time for that. But what people will always say is that, you just do you. And when you're like that, people automatically attract to you. Whether you feel like you're the lame kid or the cool kid, it's confidence.
Right.
I don't know if you guys have experience, but as I got older, you would see some men and you're like, oh, he's really confident. And that becomes an attractive thing to people. Yep. Personality can completely turn you around,
Right.
And like I said, I think that all comes from having confidence. When you're confident in yourself, people become confident in you. Mm-hmm. And they want to be around that because they want to feel that. And so, if you're having trouble in that area, I would just say be confident and the right people will flock to you regardless.
And let me ask a question, because I know we do have to wrap up at some point. You spoke about confidence. I know that that's something that affects our young women and our young boys, right? I feel like our young boys kind of mask it, but they're dealing with confidence issues too. What advice would you have for our young people who are dealing and trying to build up their confidence? Like, what practical tips would you have for them in trying to build your confidence?
As a teacher, I usually, and even as a mom, one of the things that I've always tried to teach the young people that I come in contact with is that nothing is going to break you. That you can step out and be confident, or step out on faith and have, and build that confidence in something that you like to do, or who you are, or who you want to become. Because doing something different is not going to break you. That you can try other things and it helps you build up yourself. That you don't have to be associated with this person or that person to be you. And that's a big part of confidence. And I just really want kids to understand that we're all here. And even still as adults, we still deal with anxiety and we still deal with confidence and we still deal with things. It's just that we deal with it a bit better or differently as adults because we know a little bit better. But I still have anxiety. This one telling me, oh, you want to sit on the panel tonight? What? I haven't prepared. I need to take some notes. I need some note cards and a million things.
Stressed.
Yeah, a lot of things went through my mind. I'm not dressed properly. And finally, I just had to take a deep breath after I walked in. I'm like, okay, well, here we go. But we still deal with that as adults, and it's okay. So I don't want kids to think that somehow something is wrong with them because they're not as confident as people keep telling them they should be. You'll get there, and it's okay to take baby steps.
What I would say is there's no perfect person, right? We all have imperfections. And so what I would say is to embrace your imperfections. When you start doing that, you'll start embracing yourself as a whole. And then that confidence just comes flowing out. But you do have to embrace yourself. I remember there were times when I was in high school and I used to get picked on for having large lips, full lips. And there's this one girl who, we got into an argument and she was like, that's why your lips big and da-da-da. But she had a tooth that was like in her gum. And so I could have actually, replied and attacked her. But what I said, honey, people are paying to have lips like me.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay? This is all natural.
Right.
So I was getting attacked for something that God had given me. And I used to struggle with that. But I turned that thing around and say, no, ma'am, not today.
Now it's a trend.
Yes, ma'am. And so I learned to embrace that. Mm-hmm. And so what I would say is embrace yourself. Sometimes it's hard, but there's no perfect person. We all have our imperfections. And once you start embracing those imperfections, that confidence is going to be all over your face.
I want to add to the confidence. For me, I compartmentalize everything. So I may not be confident in this area, but like when it comes to my job, school psychology, I know that front and back. So for me, that's where my confidence shows the most. In the areas that I need to work on, I use my strengths to be able to kind of bounce it out. Like right now, like you said, I did not know we were recording this. So people can continue watching. I thought it was going to be a room full of people where I could kind of balance off of their energy. So realizing, okay, well, this may not be the best. So I kind of have to hone into what I already know. I have to hone into those skills that, okay, I'm really good at school psychology. I work with children of all ages. So using my strength to determine, okay, well, I may not be confident in this area, but when it comes to school psychology and driving, that's my other strength. That is where I really do a good job. So just knowing that I'm not going to be able to do everything. I can't do your job, but I can be confident in this arena. So I compartmentalize.
And for me, I think the biggest thing I can say to gaining that confidence and strength, stand up for yourself. That is something that I learned to do early on, and it was a big thing for me. And when I say stand up for yourself, as teenagers, you're getting into these relationships and you think you're in love and all that good stuff. But it's not, if you're not standing on what you believe in, then how can the person who's saying that they love you value you if you're not standing up for what you value? So I think it's always important to stand up for yourself, no matter if it's in a relationship. She knows that I am big on standing up for myself, whether it's in the workplace or whatnot, even in a professional setting. Sometimes you have to stand your ground. And I think often as teenagers, we get scared. So when you're scared, don't say, I'm just 16, I can't do that. Or I'm just 15, I can't do that. You still have the power to say, this is what I believe. Right. This is what I value. This is how I see myself. This is where I want my life to go. And you set, like we talked about earlier, boundaries. You set those boundaries so that people don't mistreat you. And how people know how to treat you because they're like, okay, well, we know she's not dealing with all of that. So, I'm not going to come at her sideways. I'm going to come to her and talk to her because we know she don't do the drama, so I think it's important to stand on what you believe in. And even when you feel like I may not get the best reaction, I promise the result will be so much better. Right. When you know that I stood for what I believed in, because at the end of the day, your happiness matters. You can't bet your happiness on somebody else. So always stand up for what you believe in, and that confidence will, grow over time.
And I think one thing I would leave the youth with is one thing I've learned, my confidence has grown even in the recent past, the more I've gotten into my word, right? So I've been intentional about making sure that I'm reading my word and feeding myself on the areas that I feel that Jasmine needs to be fed. And so when I read my word, I notice, because my job is very stressful. Every day I come home and I feel stressed, right? And so the word and meditating on the word is something that helps me. And I started to notice I would listen to podcasts where I'm listening to a sermon or I'm meditating on the word, I'm journaling on the word, and I would become more peaceful. And when I would become more peaceful, that whole thing about God giving you joy and peace in the midst of your storm, I realized it was true. And I was like, oh, this is what it feels like to have a joy that God gave to you that the world can't take away. It's almost like having confidence. It's like, you're confident because not just based off of how you look, right? Because some days you may wake up and you may not feel like you look your best, but you feel confident, you feel that joy because you're filled with his word, and it helps you keep on going on. Any closing remarks from anybody? Any last bit of advice or tips that we have for our youth?
I would just say, go and be great.
Yes.
Believe in yourself. Yeah. You have talents, you have knowledge, you have power. Tap into that and just be great.
I would say that God gave you all the tools that you need. No matter what walk of life you're in, you have all the tools you need. Even when it doesn't feel like it, you have all the tools you need to walk this life. So
I would say there's only one you, and you are enough.
And I would say just enjoy your journey. It may look different from day to day, so just enjoy it.
Well, thank you all so much for joining us, and thank you for joining us online. Again, my name is Jasmine Resse. We are here at Mount Pleasant Baptist Church for our Blue Carpet Teen Talk, and we look forward to seeing you again. Have a great night. Thank you.
If you enjoyed this program, call us right now, 404-688-6680, or send an email to info@mountpleasantatl.org. Mount Pleasant Baptist Church is a congregation full of life and love for everybody. Would you consider sowing an offering? Whatever God lays on your heart to give would be a blessing to the ministry. On behalf of Pastor Roderick and Lady LaShonda Weathersby, thank you for your support. Mount Pleasant Baptist Church, Atlanta, Georgia.